Hey guys, Scott here, and I wanted to go over the spirit changes that are going to be coming out soon, and whether or not they are good for her, bad for her, or whatever. So let's just go right into it without delay. The collision removal is great. That's something that I feel like everybody has kind of always asked for. Even people that are fully in favor of spirit not being touched, they agree that removing collision is probably a good thing. It doesn't even make sense lore wise. She goes into a spirit plane. She shouldn't be colliding with shit. It doesn't make any sense. So removing the collision is great. It enables survivors to do another possible trick where they can just, run somewhere and then leave scratches going one way and then just stand still. Because the survivor completely standing still is actually pretty damn hard to hear. Um, Even if they're walking, they're easy to hear. If they're running, obviously they're easy to hear. So if a survivor can just like run away and then just stand still, and the spirit can instead walk right through them, that is actually something survivors can actually do now, which is really cool. It gives them another thing that they can do, which they desperately need against spirit. Problem is, if they're injured, it doesn't matter because you'll be able to triangulate where they are exactly. Or if the spirit actually has Strider, it still doesn't matter. So if both of those things are not true, then you can do this, and that seems like a lot of fun. But you don't really have a way of knowing that. I mean, I guess you do actually. If the spirit has Strider, you can tell because you will hear yourself breathe louder, and if you have Iron Will, you'll actually hear yourself making grunts of pain. So it actually is relayed to you. So actually, never mind. That's actually a cool point. You'll be able to know if that'll work or not because you can tell if this actual killer has Strider, which is good. Next, the window vaulting animation. Yeah, I don't know why she doesn't have one. It doesn't make any sense. It never made any sense. She's the only killer without one. I'm glad that she's now getting one. She needs one. It makes no sense why she's the only killer that doesn't have one. It just seemed lazy, honestly, and that's good. Um, I didn't really ever do the whole window vault mind game thing anyway, so I don't really care. It's not gonna affect me at all. But I'm glad that they're removing the things that make it so she has like no indication of what she's doing. It doesn't make any sense. So that is a great change. Adjusted the speed curve post phase. I'm not sure why they changed this. This just seems like a quality of life thing. It doesn't really affect much, but they're making it more gradual, like Wraith. So Wraith, when he comes out of invisibility, he's extremely fast, faster, fast, slows down a little bit. Now he's normal speed. It's a curve. With Spirit, she goes, she's 7.0 something meters a second. The second she stops, she has the speed burst for, half a second, and then she goes right back to 4.4. There's no gradual cutoff. So they're making it more gradual now. And unless they make it last longer, that is a nerf. That means she's going to be covering less distance with it. Which I mean, I'm not sure why they did that. I'm not sure if I'm super on board with that. I don't think it matters that much because basically the longer that lasts, the sloppier you can be with your unphases. And I think making that smaller means you have to be even more precise with your phasing, which is always nice and makes you harder to play, which is something that I think Spirit needs. So overall, this is more of a neutral change. I didn't really want to see it, but now that it's there, it's like, okay, whatever. But that being said, it's kind of vague, and I need to test it actually in game to see what exactly it means. So we'll see from there. Next, the add-on changes. The Katana Suba and the Wakazashi Saya. These are the two add-ons that make it so when you come out of your invisibility, you move faster and for a longer period of time. It appears they slightly reduced the katana by 0.05 seconds, so that's barely noticeable. It's nothing. Wakazashi Saya, though, got a pretty heavy nerf from 0.5 to 0.3. Wakazashi, it doesn't say it, but it also increases the speed at which you come out of your invisibility as well. The Katana Suba does not. The Wakazashi is still extremely good of an add-on. I think, honestly, the 0.5 seconds it lasted was a bit ridiculous. You could literally unphase on the wrong side of a loop and lunge around the entire loop and still hit the survivor. So I think it's very good that these were nerfed. Katana was barely touched, so that's not even going to matter. Wakazashi was one of her extremely overpowered add-ons, and I'm glad it was touched. Yeah, is it like I said, it still doesn't mention it, but it still increases the speed at which she comes out. So that's still there in contrast to the katana, so that's good. And their reasoning for it is pretty much exactly what I said. Yakuyoki Amulet. This is, I don't even know if it's low-key. Everyone always bitches about prayer beads. This was by far her strongest add-on. I don't know why everyone always ranted about the prayer beads. This thing was like carburetor tuning guide on crack. It improved everything about her better than her green add-ons. Usually like the carburetor tuning guide, it's like a yellow add-on and a yellow add-on combined. This was better than like her green add-ons combined. It made no sense why it was so good. It was insanely overpowered, and I'm very glad they touched it. However, the way they touched it to where now you move slower while using your power instead of faster, is kind of weird. Now, you can offset this with a movement speed add-on and get the increased duration and the better cooldown as well, but this is interesting. It makes me not immediately want to go to the Amulet Wakizashi combo, which was ridiculous. So this actually is going to make me have to maybe say I want to do one of the move speed add-ons with it instead to offset it. So I'm very glad this thing got changed. It was broken. It was just straight up broken. It was undeniable. It was just completely broken, and it definitely needed a change. So that's awesome. White hair ribbon. I don't really use that one, but it's only a 10% difference. It's only going to come down to like tenths of a second. Not a huge deal. Same thing with the brooch for the the charge time with the power. It's not going to be a big deal. It's going to come down to tenths of a second. Prayer beads now is basically like Wraith with a global bell. It's a global face. This is a perfect change, and I don't even know how I didn't think of this. Basically, instead of making no sound, it always makes sound. So people are, every time you use your power, people are going to be paranoid on generators. They're always going to think you're nearby, and they might stop working on generators because they never know if you're nearby. This is great because it slows down the game. It makes it so if somebody still gets grabbed off a gen, it's their fault. They had a warning. It's just so much more fair. I think that is a fantastic change, and it's a really, really good idea. So overall, this is undoubtedly a nerf to Spirit, which is, if you've watched my videos, it's not exactly something I asked for. I wanted more reliable counterplay. I never said nerf the Spirit. I said make her have things that are more noticeable and then buff other aspects of her, like her cooldown or something like that. This is just a straight nerf, and I'm still okay with it. For one, I feel like I can actually finally play Spirit and not feel guilty about it. So this is awesome for me because I actually get to play Spirit again. But I still, at the core of it, it doesn't change the reason that people don't like going against Spirit. People want to use their skill. People want to use all the experience they've learned in the game and apply that to fighting the killer. Spirit still doesn't let you do any of that because you're still having to guess the majority of the time. Now, with like the collision change, and if you have Iron Will, and she doesn't have Strider, and all these variables, come into play perfectly, then there's actually some stuff you can do. But all it takes is, one Strider, or not having Iron Will, or any of these variables to be broken, and then you're right back to it doesn't matter. She can still track exactly where you are, and nothing you can do is really going to stop it. So I don't think this actually addresses the main issue, which is people just have to guess when she's going against her, and people don't like having to rely on guessing rather than their own skill. And so, although it's nice, I don't necessarily think this addresses the 1v1 aspect, which is the only part I was actually ever, ranting about. I think her 1v4 aspect, which they did nerf, is not even overpowered. I think it's okay. She's obviously like one of the best killers in the game, but I'd never thought it was like, ridiculously overpowered and I was screaming for nerfs. I just wanted her to have more of a tell that she was using her power, which also, by the way, they didn't touch either. They didn't, if you're wearing a certain skin, really most of the skins, there's no way of telling that she's using her power. Right now, the game is bugged and you can hear her while she's facing that's a bug. So this doesn't change the fact that survivors still have to guess when she's using her power and where she is when she's using her power. So I don't think people are going to be super happy with it. I don't think they're going to be super upset with it either. It was just a really safe change, which honestly, I got to give Behavior credit for, because the last time they did a change, it was the Legion and they just destroyed him. So this is a very safe change. It doesn't really, it's not going to address the problem that people have to guess. And, even people that say that they can counter her, a lot of the times when they go down, they still say, I guessed wrong. So at the core of it, you're still guessing. You're making, you can make decisions based off how she's played during the match, and, you can make educated guesses, but at the core of it, you're still guessing, which really negates a lot of your skill overall, and it's just not ever going to leave a good feeling in survivors' mouths. So that being said, I'd rather them have done a very safe change like this rather than gut her entirely and make her useless or somehow overpowered or something like that. So overall, I think this is decent. I will not feel as guilty playing her, but people are still probably not going to like going against her due to the nature of the fact that you still have to guess. And that's the thing that people are not really too fond of, and that's the thing that didn't really get any changes. But like I said, if you have Iron Will and she doesn't have Strider, or you're not injured, or some of those variables are true, then I think you can have a better time with her with these changes if you're Survivor, and that's awesome. So at the very least, some people will have a better time against her and just hope she doesn't have Strider, or hope that you have Iron Will, or hope for a lot of things. But yeah, they I think they could have done a bit better of a job, but they could have done much worse too, and I'm glad they didn't. So overall, I think I'm okay with these changes. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.